All right, so welcome to the A Better Life Together Wednesday webinar series. The title of this series is Getting Past the No. The A Better Life Together Inc. Bridge Project, it's a partnership with the San Diego Regional Center. It stands for Bridging Resources into Diverse Groups Everywhere. A lot of people want to know right off the bat, what does BRIDGE stand for? But what we believe as a company, as a whole at A Better Life Together, is that people with intellectual and developmental disabilities have the right to services and supports to help them live their most independent and productive lives. The BRIDGE project is a grant that was awarded by the Department of Developmental Services to A Better Life Together to determine the challenges some consumers of the San Diego Regional Center face in accessing services and supports they need. So a few of the goals that the BRIDGE project has is to educate members of the community about services available so individuals get the supports that they need to live their most independent life. And we want to explain the California Regional Center system and how that system works. We also assist individuals and families navigate that system and get the most robust plan for the supports that are possible. We also explain the Lanterman Act, which we'll touch on a little bit today. The Lanterman Developmental Disabilities Act and how this law protects the rights to services and supports through the Regional Center. Again, BRIDGE stands for Bridging Resources into Diverse Groups Everywhere. So first off, if you've heard about the Lanterman Act, you've wondered what it is, this is the California law that gives people with intellectual and developmental disabilities the right to services so they can live that independent and productive life. This act is a part of the California Welfare and Institutions Code, and the Regional Center is your starting point. A few things that the Lanterman Act does. It defines what your rights are. It guides how the regional centers and service providers can help you. It guides the services and supports that you can get. It tells you how to use the individualized program plan, also known as the IPP, to get the services you need. And it tells you what to do when someone says you can't get what you need. And it also allows them to have a voice in how they can make the system better. So what is the Regional Center? The Regional Center is the focal point for coordinating services for persons with developmental disabilities and their families. It's a state-funded, private, nonprofit organization that contracts annually with the state Department of Developmental Services, DDS, to provide services to clients. The San Diego Regional Center is one of 21 regional centers in California. Regional centers provide services to anyone who has an intellectual or developmental disability, anyone suspected of having an intellectual or developmental disability, and anyone at risk of giving birth to a child with an intellectual or developmental disability. Eligibility for services is any person that has an intellectual or developmental disability that originated before the age of 18, and that disability is likely to continue indefinitely, and it was diagnosed by a licensed physician. A developmental disability is defined as a severe and chronic disability that is attributable to a mental or physical impairment. And these disabilities include intellectual disability, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, the autism spectrum, and other conditions that are similar to intellectual disability, those conditions that constitute a substantial disability in 3 or more of the following areas, which are communication, learning, self-direction, capacity for independent living, economic self-sufficiency, self-care, and mobility. Anybody who is a resident of San Diego or Imperial County is eligible for services if they're believed to have that intellectual or developmental disability. They can apply. The eligibility is determined based on social, school-related, medical, psychological information, and documentation provided by the potential client to the regional center. And the application process can take up to 120 days. We put in there, so patience is needed. This is the part where we come in when you're going through the application process, the Bridge project, and everyone that works with us. I'll introduce my colleagues here in just a bit, but with your individuals or family's consent, we can help you with this process. Okay, so the intake services or the application process of the San Diego Regional Center moves as follows. It's evaluation to determine eligibility. It's assessment to assist with program planning, development of the individual program plan. This is also known as the IPP. Case management and service coordination. It's the coordination of developmental disability services, which can include a residential service, transportation, nursing services, behavior intervention, medical services, work programs, psychological services, respite, physical therapy. And again, in order to process intake, the regional center must be contacted by the parent or legal guardian of a minor, the conservator, or the non-conserved adult. And if you have questions about any of these terms, please just let us know in the chat. Examples of services through the regional center are listed here. The adult day programs, behavior training, independent living services, sometimes that's referred to as ILS. There's infant programs and services through Early Start. That is a separate intake process. That intake process is a little bit shorter, and we can talk more about that if you all have questions. Licensed residential placement, there's parental reimbursement fees that are sometimes required for minors. There's respite services, supported employment, SLS, also supported living services, transportation to work and day programs, community services. The regional center community staff provide public information, community education, and develop needed resources. We've heard a lot in the last few years, also here in the last few weeks, about person-centered culture of care, and this is the foundation of self-determination. It's about the individual receiving support, the natural supports, meaning the family, the friends, the neighbors, the community members, the generic supports, which is HHSA, IHSS, education, Medi-Cal, Medicare, the Department of Developmental Services, or DDS, San Diego Regional Center falls under that, and then agency support services like A Better Life Together, or even other service providers through the Regional Center. So this is kind of the way that that person-centered culture of care looks. As you can see, the individual with supports is in the middle. The generic supports that I listed, the natural supports, DDS services, the regional center services, agency support services, all of these services work together, but all the time, no matter what, the individual with support should be at the center and should be the central focus of the person-centered culture of care. So according to the Lanterman Act, regional centers must find and identify people who may need regional center services. They evaluate people who apply for regional center services to decide if they're eligible. They refer people at high risk of having a child with intellectual or developmental disabilities to family resource centers for assistance with preventative services. They also coordinate services for all of their regional center consumers. They develop the individual program plan, the IPP, that considers each person's individual needs and choices. They make sure that the consumer receives all of their services and supports listed in their IPP. It develops new services and supports and monitors the quality of the services and supports provided. So we can help. Myself, the Bridge Project team, really anyone here at A Better Life Together, but especially myself, Melissa Ramsey, Katie, any of us can assist you with the individuals or the parents consent, we offer assistance with the intake process and advocacy during the individual program plan or individual family service plan, the IFSP. The Bridge Project Specialist can assist a regional center client with contacting their service coordinator to update their IPP if needed. We're also able to provide community resources to individuals and families to help in these unprecedented times. We can help bridge the gap. So here are the San Diego Regional Center offices. Again, you'll have access to these slides and also the replay of this video, but feel free to screenshot this. There is likely an office that is very, very close to you. The intake unit, you may want to make a note of that telephone number. If you're going through the process right now and you're kind of wondering what your status is, that's a great number to call, or you can just reach out directly to us. I'll have my contact information at the end. You can always reach us through our Facebook and our social media outlets, or even our website chat feature as well. If you want to know more, everything that is within this presentation you can find at these links, from the Lanterman Act to what disability rights California has to say about the rights under the Lanterman Act, and the Office of Developmental Primary Care has information that you can utilize as well when you're wanting resources on how to guide your services. So does anyone have a question, Andrea?
I certainly do, Melissa. Thank you for presenting this. Could you go back to the slide with the eligibility categories? Because at the bottom there, I have some clients that would qualify, not necessarily with cerebral palsy, but or autism, but other conditions similar to an intellectual disability.
Sure.
Three of the more communication. See, I have had people turned away from the regional center that fit into that last category,
Okay.
and I didn't realize that.
Yes, and what we have done, especially, I would say, at least in the last 6 months, maybe more, we have formed a partnership with Disability Rights California, the Office of Clients' Rights Services. Maria Salas is our contact there, and she has been super instrumental in assisting people. A lot of times, everybody's first point of legal help is to go to legal aid, especially for the demographic and the audience that we work with. But Disability Rights California has been able to work with individuals who are facing challenges with getting services and supports from the regional center, in the educational setting. When it comes to housing, we have really found success in working with Maria, and I would say 4 to 5 of our families that we work with on the Bridge Project, just in the last 2 weeks. In the last 2 weeks, they've been assisting. So I'd be more than happy if, on the very last slide will be my information, but I can also type it into the chat for you, and I can just share her contact information. It's a very simple process. We call it a warm handoff, and she'll do an intake with you, and they get started working with you. Normally there's a notice of action of some sort, or there is a denial that comes with some documentation, and they'll be utilizing that to know how to answer with that appeal. But that definitely will be a great resource for you as well. But we can also take a look if you like. Can you elaborate on how disability that originated before age 18 comes into play for determining eligibility, such as when a disability is suspected but not diagnosed? That is a very good question. So, if the disability originated before age 18 and is likely to continue indefinitely and was diagnosed by a licensed physician, all of that criteria needs to be met simultaneously. Does that answer your question? And if you have any further questions or need further assistance as far as determining eligibility, please reach out. That is my email. I will share one more time because I did want to give you all a way to screenshot contact info. So there is my personal contact information. That cell phone. I have it all the time. You also can reach me via email, and I also mentioned just contacting us via the chat function on our website. There's also a contact form there. And then kind of like our brochure as a web page lives at betterlifetogether.org/bridge-project. And it looks like we have another question. If a family friend is already, jumped. If a family friend is already registered with the regional center, will they still be able to benefit from the Bridge Project? Absolutely. The answer to that is absolutely. In the event we have not reached out to you yet, we have been provided with more than 3,000 names, phone numbers at this point. A lot of the information that we received came just before the pandemic. We still continue to call and reach out to people. A lot of people we couldn't reach. Numbers have changed. People have relocated, and emails have changed. So most definitely, as long as you are a client of the regional center, the Bridge Project can assist you. A lot of people, when we talk to them, they, they maybe have had a situation with a service coordinator previously. So they're looking to change service coordinators. They're looking to change their IPP. That is something that you can do at any time. And I think a lot of our Bridge parents and Bridge families think, oh, we have to wait till the service coordinator calls us, and we just talk to them once a year. It's not a situation where you should just be speaking to the service coordinator one time annually. You're able to call that meeting whenever you want. You're able to get copies of your documents whenever you want. You can make those requests whenever you want. And we're here if you need us to facilitate those conversations, if you want us to sit in on Zoom calls. We've done that not just for IPPs, but again for the educational setting for IEPs. When we've had families that are just going through the evaluation process, and we go to the results meeting so that we can kind of translate all of the terminology and the secret language that's being used in the evaluations in the IEP meetings. So we're definitely available to you as long as you're a client of the regional center. If you're interested in becoming one, again, we can walk you through that process as well. How much notice do you need before attending a Zoom meeting? For me to present somewhere else?
You said that you'd be able to attend meetings with us. How much advance notice would you need?
We would just need time to review documentation. And so I would hope about 24 to 48 hours. Do you have one coming up super, super soon?
Yeah, actually, yes, this afternoon at 2:00. I didn't, I think everything would be fine, but I'm just making a lot of changes right now.
Okay.
So, yes, I do have one at, well, here's the thing. Well, if we invite you into an IPP meeting, how much notice do we need to give the other parties involved? I mean, because like with IEP meetings with the school district, I mean, there's rules about that. So in this instance, what's the how does that apply?
Okay, so for the IPP meeting, we with the regional center, we would just need to fill out the authorization forms and have those back. That way they know that they can talk to us and that we can talk to them. So the service coordinator would need to have that authorization form on file. For
Okay.
the IEPs, I know just from personal experience, and I'm kind of still learning this part, depending upon the district, or whether it's a charter, it should be the same, but you just have to give them some prior notice and tell them who the person is, and you can list our name and our title. Um, I wonder. I've never
Okay.
done it the same day. I've always been like looped into emails prior to, but
Yeah.
I can make myself available at 2 o'clock if you'd like someone to be present with you, and we can just send them an email ahead of time.
Okay. Yeah. I'm done with IEPs at this point. My son, he's older. But actually, with adults, with young adults, if they're going to like community college or do they have anything similar to IEPs? I mean, or is that
That's going to be
how does that?
the IPP, and
Okay.
that the IEP does grow with you. There is some transition planning, and we've had some really good speakers on the webinar series that talk about transition planning and at what phase or stage you should be looking at it. And even if you're doing it in like present day real time,
Mhm.
there are still things that you can do to set your child up for success in the educational setting. Um, we have some really good comments, so I want
Okay.
to.
All right. Thank you.
So, no. I think someone's responding to you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Um, Andrea says, Mina, you can bring anyone you want to an IEP meeting, which is true, friend or
Yeah.
advocate, family member. Every college has a disability services department. Contact them. Yes, there's a lot of supports that are available, and it's almost like it's a secret menu. You have to say these secret words. And I'm saying this as a parent of an individual with a disability. So I'm walking this path with you all. We're going through transition planning right now. We had our first IEP meeting in this new school district because we're new to California. But transition planning starts with your child, with you, what the desires, the wants, the needs are, and you can dictate all of that. And it's very simple. If you're looking for us, if you want us to come to the IPP this afternoon, the answer is yes. That's the short answer. I can send you over the authorization forms, and then I can just share that with your service coordinator. I can get that back to them very quickly. Can you send me a direct message in the chat, and I can get that back to you?
Um. What?
Email your email address.
Sure.
Melissa,
Yeah.
I do advocacy work along with having a daughter with special needs with the regional center, and
Sure.
you do not have to give notice to the school district that you are bringing an advocate or a friend. Some parents do not want to do that. It's very kind if you do that.
Yeah.
Um, it puts them on notice, but you do not have to do that. There's nowhere that it's written.
Okay. That's yeah. I mean, I'm always on the side of let them
Friendly?
know. Yes, because as you well know, doing this so long, you can be met with opposition, or you can be met with someone who really, um, takes their I'm being very careful with what I'm saying. You can be you can be met with someone who opposes every single solitary thing you do and ask for, or you can be met with someone who values what they do, and what career path they've chosen. A lot of times it's not that. But I do try to let them know who's coming with me, but it is a courtesy. You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Nicely saying that.
I think by the time parents get to an advocate, sometimes there's so much anger
Yeah.
there anyway. So
Yes.
you have to sort of, try to help them the best you can.
Absolutely. I do have, in 2 weeks, I do have another, kind of IEP tips for IEP meetings, and I know we're getting outside of the season, but I plan to do this a couple of times. Just tips and tricks and how I learned to organize myself over the last 15 years, because there was a point where I had to skip the advocacy and I had to just go to IEP meetings with an attorney. But understanding how to request functional behavioral assessments. A lot of times when our children are having a behavior or any type of issue, the only thing that the school can see is our child's response. I knew for at least 2 of these 3 years that something was happening that I wasn't being told. And that at that point, because Kendall was he was nonverbal, he had minimal language, and he couldn't tell me. So I had to learn how to request a functional behavioral assessment. I had to make a couple that with the IEP just to make them do what they were supposed to do, just for them to provide the supports. And a lot of parents don't know. I didn't know what an FBA is, a functional behavioral assessment, because you can't kick him out. He has to get the same services that all the other children are getting, and they just count on you not knowing certain things. So please take a look at our events page on abetterlifetogether.org. That's going to be coming up in 2 weeks. And next week, we will have Mental Health Matters. Chaplain Pamela Adams from Faithful and Favored will be coming to speak. That is on July 14th. July 21st is going to be the IEP tips for moms, dads, and caregivers. We've also got Brain Balance on Wednesday, July 28th. Again, all of these are on our website. They've been shared also to our Facebook. But the Developing Brain in the Classroom, Brain Balance Achievement Centers will be coming to speak to us on the 28th of July. We also will have UPAC coming back in August, and we did have to reschedule Sabrina Thomas. She's a special needs empowerment coach. I'm really excited to hear from her. She's actually been rescheduled for August as well. Please keep your eyes peeled on our events page on our website, and also to our Facebook page. You can just type in A Better Life Together. And if you sign up for our website, then you'll automatically be notified when we are having another Wednesday webinar series, who that presenter is, that organization is. I just want to make sure one more time that I've gotten all the info from the chat.
Is this only for San Diego Regional Center?
Well, the Bridge Project and how we can assist, it is for individuals that are in San Diego County under the San Diego Regional Center. So yes, what area are you in? Because we've likely got a partnership with an organization where you are. Los Angeles. I actually have made some contacts with Disability Rights California out of Los Angeles. Well, the Eastern LA office. Maria Salas from our office here in San Diego has connected me, and I've actually had a family who came on. They were from Los Angeles, so I was able to get them to connected to a couple of organizations in LA. So if you'd like to share your email, I can put you in touch with those organizations as well. Well, if there are no further questions, I just want to thank everyone for joining us this morning. We'll see you again next Wednesday at 10 a.m. sharp. And thank you all for your questions. I'll be reaching out to those of you who have direct messaged me your emails. You're welcome. You're welcome, Rory. Thank you so much for joining us. And I look forward to seeing you all next week.